What's going on, everyone? So today I am super excited because we have a ton of cards to talk about. Now, I know I talked about spoilers in my last video, and we're going to be doing most likely a weekly schedule where I talk about all the spoilers on Friday. But this was an exception because we have so many new cards to talk about, a new leader, a new base, which we haven't seen since set 1, and all manner of other things to talk about. Before we get started, big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. We've been chatting about all the cards over there, and also we've been playing some games. Also, if you want to pick up any of these cards when the set does come out, use my TCG player link in the description down below. But let's not waste any more time and talk immediately about the brand new leader, ObiWan. And if you can't hear it in my voice, guys, I am exceptionally excited about this set. It is ridiculous. So ObiWan, pretty sweet art, by the way. This is definitely episode 2 ObiWan, but we have a Vigilance Heroism leader with the action to heal 1 damage from a unit. A pretty crazy action, because this is definitely an action that you can use every single turn for the most part. There are a lot of situations where you'll be dealing like 1 damage to a unit, or dealing just some damage to a unit because of the new token system, right? With battle droids, with clone troopers, there's going to be a lot of low power units that I would be surprised to see units that wouldn't have like some damage on them. So this is definitely an interesting action. It's not like ridiculously strong or anything, and I don't think this is going to be like a top tier leader action or anything like that, but I do see its immense use over the course of a game. And if you could synergize this with perhaps like, I don't know, some sort of grit or raid or whatever other things synergize with damage, then we could even see some more value. If this was maybe in villainy, like if this action was in villainy, I could see a lot more use for it, because there's a lot of more, I guess you'd say, damage-based things that you're doing to your own units in villainy. However, we also have a backside to flip, or talk about with ObiWan. He is a 6 to flip, 4/7 Force Jedi Republic, pretty standard tags at this point. He has Sentinel, and on attack, you can heal 1 damage from a unit. If you do, deal 1 damage to a different unit. So first off, 6 flip, 4/7 stat line, pretty solid. That's kind of what we have come to expect with our leaders. 6 resource, 4/7 is pretty standard at this point. However, Sentinel is not. The only leader that has Sentinel is Chewbacca, and he comes down at 7, and he's also Vigilance Villainy, or Vigilance Heroism. But this is a 4/7 6 flip Sentinel, and that is pretty massive. We've seen how impactful ObiWan, like Ben Kenobi, can be, this 6 cost unit, 4/6 Sentinel. Now, this doesn't have an on-death trigger, but I could definitely see just getting a guaranteed Sentinel on turn 5 can be really massive to kind of get to the later stages of the game, if that's relevant for you. His on-attack trigger, kind of meh, like you get to heal damage, deal a damage, like it can be somewhat good depending on the situation. And again, if we're fighting against battle droids, this does kill a battle droid token, so that also could be relevant. But this is really, really exciting. I do like the fact that it is just a Sentinel. That is what's most exciting to me about this ObiWan leader. I don't think it's incredibly strong so far. If I were to just give my initial rating on this, even though it's really exciting to me and I love the action and I love the Sentinel aspect and I think it's just a sweet character, I would definitely put this in like the average tier of leaders, and maybe even a little bit below average, unless you can really get some value out of the Sentinel aspect of ObiWan. The fact that it's a heroism means that it's less likely, because a lot of the soft control decks that we have are going to be in villainy, and that's one of the things that's holding it back. If this was just a villainy card, I would be a lot higher on it, because healing some damage from units, making your Sentinels a little bit more obnoxious, like Chilton or Pike Sentinel or things like that, and then getting out a Sentinel early to help kind of stabilize the board into, you know, Super Laser Blast. I could see something there, but right now, Heroism just doesn't really have the control tools, although that might be changing because we have some cards to talk about here. First off, though, we've got a new ground unit, 2-cost ground unit, Royal Guard Attaché, Vigilance, 2/5, crazy stat line, right? Naboo Trooper is the tag, and then we have, when played, deal 2 damage to this unit. So it's not really a 2/5, it comes down as a 2/3, but does have that 2/5 stat line. This, let's say, paired with ObiWan, which we just talked about, guess what? It becomes a 2/4 when it comes down, which is kind of an obnoxious stat line as well. And this is the type of card where you're doing some damage to your own units that I could see ObiWan getting better. This is pretty interesting. It holds upgrades pretty well. It's really tough to kind of actually kill through. So if you're able to somewhat give this Sentinel or something, it could be a little bit obnoxious, but you do have to heal it up, right? If you're just getting a 2-3 for nothing, or like no other stats or no other abilities or anything like that, it's pretty mediocre. 2-3s are just not good enough. If you get a 2-5 vanilla, and vanilla meaning no abilities or anything like that, then we could maybe consider it. But I don't even think 2-5s are necessarily insane. It's just a solid unit. This is a 2-3, but can be healed up to a 2-5. So we'll see if there's some sort of synergy with damage, or maybe grit, passing around grid or something like that with Royal Guard could be something that makes this card a little bit more interesting. Right now, it's just a 2-3. And if you're playing it with ObiWan, it becomes a 2-4. So I could see it be played with ObiWan, but that's really it at this point. I don't really see this card being played outside of that. It's the only exciting deck for it. Next up, though, we have a new space unit in ObiWan's Ether Sprite, a 5-resource space unit in Vigilance Heroism, of course, a 4/6 Jedi Republic Vehicle Fighter. So Jedi Republic, pretty relevant tags. Vehicles also pretty relevant tags, generally speaking. And this is ObiWan's Starfighter, which is really sweet. When you play this and on attack, you may deal 1 damage to this unit and 2 damage to another space unit. This seems really sweet to control the air. 4/5, essentially, when it comes down, because you're going to deal 1 damage to this and 2 damage to another space unit, is a pretty nice stat line for 5 resources. We see this with, like, Marauder, for example. A 4/5 stat line at 5 resources is pretty, well, good for a space unit. If you're talking ground units, then we would consider, like, a 6/6 good. This also could be just a 4/6 if you don't want to deal damage to this unit. You generally will want to, though, because if you're not, then that's kind of a whatever unit. Like, you don't really care about the 4/6 stat line. You're playing this mainly for its ability alongside its stat line, not just for the stats. Here's the thing with this. 2 damage is not necessarily enough to kill off a space unit. And if you have to attack it anyways and deal 2 damage to that unit to kill it, maybe you get some value. But if you're just attacking a unit, for example, and you don't have any other unit to deal 2 damage to, well, you don't really get that much out of ObiWan's Ether Sprite. One thing I do like about this is that it does trade with Fett's Fire Spray, so that could be relevant. It deals with shielded units quite well, because you get to deal 2 damage and then hit it with ObiWan's Ether Sprite, so that's interesting. It can pump up or punch up a little bit with the damage it's able to do, so it does have some advantages to it. The thing that I would have loved to see with this, to make it like an S tier card, at least in my initial impressions, is to be able to do 2 damage to any unit on the battlefield. And that would be way more interesting, right? But for right now, just to be able to do 2 damage to another space unit, really not that insane. Just kind of like a solid unit. I could see this being valuable in draft, but for right now, at least in Premier, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of value with this card. There could be some relevance towards the Jedi tag with the Aether Sprite, but we will have to see. Next up, though, we have a brand new event, and this is really exciting because, as I mentioned earlier, the only versions of soft/hard control that we've seen so far have been in Villainy. But right now, we have a new event in Hello There, 3-cost event, Vigilance Heroism, so a Heroism unique removal. Choose a unit that enters to play this phase. It gets -4/-4 for this phase. There are a lot of things to talk about with this card. First off, as I mentioned earlier, this is the kind of first example of a card that's specifically related towards heroism that helps with controlling the board. We see like Power of the Dark Side, and this is kind of the closest comparison I have, because Power of the Dark Side is a 3-cost event. It is in Villainy. It's also in Vigilance, so it's kind of the counterpart to Hello There. And it defeats something pretty much on turn 2 every single time. That's usually where you're using it. And then later on the game, it has extreme relevance, because if you can get your opponent down to only 1 unit or only playing 1 unit, you can kill something massive with it. Now, Hello There does not have that latter option. It does not have the ability to kill something massive that you play later on in the game. It also is limited to whatever unit that's been played that phase. However, the advantages of this is, 1, it's not a defeat. So you can kill things like Lurking TIE Phantom, which is extremely relevant. If there was going to be a heroism control deck, Hello There would be extremely important in order for you to deal with an extremely oppressive anti-control card in Lurking TIE Phantom. The second thing that it does is, well, just kill something on turn 2 as well. If your opponent plays something, you give it -4/-4, but it pretty much kills anything. There's not really many things that it won't kill. Another thing to note about this is it also gets through shields, right? Defeat also does the power of the dark side, but hello there does as well. And the last thing that it does is, and this is pretty important, it also kills something on turn 3. And this is something that Power of the Dark Side struggles to do, where if your opponent plays, let's say, multiple units, you can't choose the one that you want to defeat. So Power of the Dark Side is really good on turn 2, and it's really good later on in the game when your opponent has little use or little units on the battlefield where you can get really what you want. However, in like that middle stage of the game where your opponent's playing like K2SO and they're playing whatever other 4 toughness unit, maybe they play like a Millennium Falcon or whatever, and they have another unit on the board, hello there, we'll be able to kill those units. Like, it just straight up kills a K2SO, which is really impactful for one less resource than your opponent spent for K2SO, which might be relevant or might not. This is promising to me, and this makes me think that maybe we will see some sort of heroism control deck, and I am all for it. That is extremely exciting to me. Also, the art is absolutely sweet. Love seeing Obi-Wan. I love when his hair is, I don't even know what you'd call it, but, you know, not slicked back, and it's like kind of flowing freely, killing some battle droids. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love this set. And lastly, guys, we're going to talk about a brand new base. So these are the brand new bases. It looks like there's going to be a cycle of this, is from what I remember. And this is going to be the cunning version. So first off, it's a 26 health base. We've only seen 25 HP bases and 30 HP bases so far. This one's a 26 health base. It's in cunning, and it makes it so that each leader unit you control gets +1/+0. Interesting, right? Just leader unit. This immediately makes me think Boba Yellow. Immediately. Boba Yellow, immediately. Why? Boba Yellow is a tempo deck. It's really looking to get aggressive. You play this alongside Boba, you get double yellow, and boom, your Boba Fett's now a 5/7. That's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. 5/7's a massive bump in stats compared to a 4/7 in a lot of situations, and it's just going to get in for more damage. That is really, really strong. However, if I look at other decks, the only other deck that I would consider this in, Sabine Yellow. Sabine Yellow is the other deck I would consider this in, where she's a 3/5 when she deploys. And that could be extremely relevant as well. This is definitely an aggro-centric base. You're losing HP, so any base that's losing HP either needs to A, make up for that HP loss by giving you such immense value in the early to mid game, or getting you to the late game, or you just need to be aggressive so that the HP loss on the base doesn't matter nearly as much. So Boba Yellow, Sabine Yellow, I could see Sabine coming down as a 3/5 attacking for 4 damage into a base because of her attack trigger. That's insane. Like, that's a huge buff. And Sabine Yellow might be more meta than Sabine Green because of this base just guaranteeing you an extra damage. I highly doubt that because ECL is still an immensely powerful base. However, I definitely could see this being a base that you'd pair with Boba Yellow, right? That just makes a whole lot of sense. The problem with Jeddah City is that Boba Yellow isn't really interested in kind of making these value trades early on in the game. You're just kind of using your ambushers, you're using your bounce effects to get rid of their units. And then you kind of do that naturally, which is why Jeddah City is not normally used. And also losing 5 HP can be a decent hit. This one loses 1 less HP, and you just guarantee are flipping Boba and getting some more value from it, which is just a guaranteed value basically every time. There are some cases where your opponent will like rivals fall your Boba, sure. But I'll say if you're able to like get Boba Fett flipped, you put a Boba Fett's armor on it, now it's a 7/9. Like, that's a really big stat line. And now a 7/9 can just immediately kill leaders if they come down as well. With Boba Fett's armor, which could be relevant. There's a lot of things to say about this, but I do think it's going to be relegated towards Boba Yellow and Sabine Yellow. And it also makes me extremely excited to see what other bases we're going to get. My guess is that we're going to get a cycle of these 26 HP bases. And similar to how ECL, Jeddah City, Security Complex, and Tarkin Town work, we're going to be seeing various different trade-offs for that 4 HP. And in this case, we get the +1/+0. I'm very curious to see what aggression gives us, vigilance gives us, and command gives us. Maybe there's going to be some more damage-based one for Tarkin or for aggression. Maybe there's going to be some more upgrading synergies for vigilance. Who knows? But I am extremely excited. And I'm also extremely excited specifically for the leader and the base, because obviously the leaders kind of guide us in a different deck building direction, but the bases change all of our other leaders as well. Like, if you think about this, Petronaki Arena here, immediately thinking all the other kind of yellow based or potentially yellow based decks that we have already, or maybe even decks that could be yellow based because of this. I don't think this is the case. Like Petronaki Arena specifically gives that option because it gives a very limited niche effect where you're really only wanting that where you're trying to get in more damage in aggressive decks. But who knows with the other bases, right? This could change the entire game. Like set 3 could give us a massive shakeup in the meta where Boba Sabine might not even be meta. Not that is likely, but it could happen, right? But that's going to wrap up kind of all the spoilers we have for today, guys. Again, I will be most likely doing spoiler videos every Friday. I just wanted to make an exception today because I got the feedback yesterday on the spoilers. And I mean, this was just a huge spoiler dump. Brand new leader, brand new base, multiple cars to talk about, and just a massive, massive change for the game going forward. So really, really excited. If you haven't been able to tell already, I know I said that before. I know I said I'm really excited, but I just can't get it across enough. Hopefully you all are as excited as I am. November 8th, guys. November 8th. That's what we have to wait for. Super, super excited. 2 months away. 2 months. And we are going to be swimming in Star Wars Unlimited. Thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you all for the next one.